Hello. So tonight I'm here to talk about how if we expand our idea of gender, maybe we can all feel a little bit freer. And yes, this is my calm down slide. And to begin with, I would invite you to take a breath, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. How do you know what gender you are? And can you describe your gender? Those are questions that might be really new to you, or those are questions that you might have heard 100 times. Either way, the reason why I'm asking you is because the overculture seems to have a really pretty good idea of what gender is. It's pink and blue, and it's girls and boys, and men and women, and we can see that in our toys, in our clothing, and in our restrooms. And this is a question that I'm deeply familiar with, that question of the gender binary, because I'm often asked, are you a boy or a girl? And my answer is yes. And that's me styling it in the 70s, and then in my own Italian version of The Breakfast Club in the 80s. So that question, are you a boy or a girl, is deeply rooted in an idea called gender essentialism, which is, if you're born with a vagina, you must be a woman with all that that entails, and if you're born with a penis, you must be a man with all that that entails, right? Well, tonight I'm gonna ask you to come through the kaleidoscope with me, and red pill or blue pill, you're just gonna go through it in a moment anyway. And we're gonna go into this vast gender landscape where there are so many explored and unexplored sites. And just like the Northern Lights are no less real and no less beautiful just because they're rare, so gender diversity and creativity have always existed all across the globe and all across time. For example, in the Roman Empire, because yes, I'm from Italy, there was a cult of the Frisian goddess Cybele, and her priestesses, called the Galli, were male assigned at birth and presented as feminine. And on this very land, which we now call the United States of America, gender diversity and creativity has always existed in indigenous tribes and in indigenous languages. This is Wiwa, a famous Zuni Two-Spirit person, and I invite you to check out the documentary Two Spirits to find out more about the current realities of Two Spirits people in the US. And so trans is but a small portion of that vast landscape. It's a kind of Anglo-based portion, and there are so many words all across the globe to describe this vast gender landscape. And here in the US in 2015, young people are really doing an amazing job of educating us about the gender landscape. I really encourage you to Google the gender unicorn and spend more than 5 minutes with this idea. Right? And even though Tumblr did not invent transgender people, yes, that is true, the internet has given us a really great platform. Here's Laverne Cox and Janet Mock, who have been doing an amazing job of bringing trans issues into mainstream media. So at this point, some of you might be sitting there thinking, what's this got to do with me? I mean, some of you probably have a pretty good idea, and some of you have not. And I'm here to propose to you tonight that you too may benefit from gender liberation. You no longer need to punch each task on your man card or on your woman card. You do not need to worry that if you have a penis and you do not know how to build a log cabin, you are not a man. Although if you know how to build one, I'm very excited. And when I talk about gender liberation, what I'm talking about is not doing away with masculinity and femininity and androgyny for everybody, although androgyny can be really awesome. Kate Winslet and Prince here as a proof. I am talking about dismantling cisgenderism, the idea that we have to be so rigid in the gender binary that we constrict ourselves, the way we present, the way we dress, what activities we can and cannot do. And Bridget Mandler, yes, I am the parent of a 12-year-old, sings about this in Postcard and talks about how that spark of authenticity dims when we say that some things are girls only or boys only. So please join me in dismantling cisgenderism and having a vision for collective liberation. What would happen if we stop policing our own and each other's gender identities, roles, and expression, like every day? And what would happen if we just stopped assuming someone's gender, stopped assuming their pronouns, stopped checking out which public restrooms they're walking into? And what would happen if we let our children tell us who they are, let them come into the world and grow into themselves and tell us about their gender identity? And yes, this is a very tall leap into possibility that I'm asking you to make. But if we can make that leap into the possibility that gender is so much broader than we think, then there is so much more room for all of us to swim in. Thank you.